Selling organs to make ends meet. How poverty drives the illegal organ trade and the case for legalization. In 2013, 121,272 Americans were on the wait list for an organ transplant, yet only 14,257 people donated their organs. This massive gap between organs needed and organs donated leads to the economic exploitation of the global poor. In Jamdi village, located in Nepal's Kidney Valley, 13-year-old Shadata begged her dad not to sell his kidney, as her uncle did a few years back. She knows it is because of poverty. No one does such a thing if not in dire need. In this same village, every other home has at least one person who has sold their kidney in the past due to financial need. Organ trafficking is a dire issue that occurs mainly amongst the global poor due to desperation, exploitation, lack of education, lack of protection, and the large demand for organs worldwide. Understanding and addressing this underground issue is important because its impact is widespread and variable, affecting people physically, mentally, and financially. Organ trafficking is a lucrative illegal business. With such high organ demand worldwide, especially for the kidney and liver, it is speculated to be worth over $1.7 billion. Dollars. About 12,000 transplants are illegal, accounting for 10% of all transplants yearly. However, these crimes are hard to track because they happen within a network of legitimate medical settings with legally certified medical professionals. How does organ trafficking target low income individuals? One video that follows an organ trafficker, who are often called brokers, documents the thought process of brokers and their methods of manipulating financially challenged individuals. In the video, the broker approaches them and offers them an easy solution to their money troubles by giving one kidney, which they don't need, for $5,000. He tells the interviewer later that he's not a demon or anything, but truly believes he is helping people by convincing them to sell their organs. However, in most cases, the poor individuals selling their organs end up with more debilitating health issues. The illegal surgeries leave them with large, unnecessary, and painful 15 to 20-inch scars. Scars that wouldn't be there if the brokers or recipients paid $200 more for a less invasive surgery. People experiencing poverty constantly find themselves in situations where they must make a tragic choice: eat healthier or eat more, get an education or make some money, find a way to pay their debts, or face the debt collector empty handed. With choices like that, it is no wonder that those living in poverty fall prey to deceptive lure of brokers. It appears to be their only way out of a dire situation. The Kenyatta National Hospital, located in Nairobi, Kenya, had to put out a notice on Facebook that read, "We don't buy kidneys," because they had received multiple queries of how much for my kidney. According to Nussbaum, tragic choice implies sacrificing one of the 10 capabilities every person is entitled to: life, bodily health and integrity, senses, imagination and thought, emotions, practical reason, affiliation, other species, play, and control over one's environment. Individuals who participate in organ trafficking must make a tragic choice, a choice often driven by desperation. This desperation is what organ brokers exploit. When 23-year-old rickshaw puller Mehdi Hassan sold part of his liver to a wealthy recipient, he did not even know what a liver was. He just needed the money. Many of the poverty-stricken people who have sold their organs, especially in third world countries, are being exploited in this same manner. They willingly sell their organs to brokers in exchange for promised financial gain they usually do not receive. Most organs donors receive less than 10% of the value they were promised due to exploitation by brokers. A situation which is terribly unjust because kidney recipients can pay over $150,000, yet the donors are offered no more than $6,000 in all cases, while the rest of the money goes to the broker and other involved parties. In fact, in a study performed by Moniru Zaman, an assistant professor in anthropology at Michigan State University, 81% of sellers didn't receive the money they were promised. Mehdi Hassan, like many others, received only part of the money he was promised and is now too sick to work, walk, or breathe properly. One of the things the brokers exploit is the lack of education prevalent among individuals experiencing poverty. Brokers tell vulnerable and uneducated communities the story of the sleeping kidney. One kidney sleeps, the other kidney works. So people don't need two kidneys. Doctors turn on the sleeping kidneys and extract the old kidney and give it to the recipient. Others say they were told that their organ would regrow and they don't need it at all. Additionally, brokers take advantage of a donor's lack of knowledge by recruiting them through deceptive advertisement. One researcher collected over 1,200 newspaper ads with false promises to potential organ sellers such as visas, vacations, jobs, and citizenship in North America or Europe. The question then is, how does this deceptive information spread to the point where a whole region in Nepal is referred to as the Kidney Valley? Through survival networks. Anytime an individual interacts with an acquaintance in an organization, that acquaintance may introduce the individual to others. Although most low income people are ashamed to have resorted to selling an organ to pay their debts or buy food, word gets around about this method of financial gain, resulting in more people becoming connected to the brokers. Furthermore, most donors in Kenya eventually become recruiters, trying to encourage other young men to sell their kidneys for the lucrative organ trafficking business. The situation is even worse for those experiencing poverty. Poor people living in high poverty neighborhoods have smaller non kin networks and are more likely to be isolated. Because their network is so limited, they are unable to find out other less invasive and life changing methods for financial assistance. This lack of networks occurs not only in the Valley, but in developed regions as well. Some people who found their way to the US for the American dream also find themselves in the hands of an trustworthy broker who offers them an easy solution to their life issues. This lack of survival networks become important when analyzing the role the government agencies play in the success of the illegal organ trade. The people that an individual knows and interacts with make up their relationships, an important part of social structure. Most individuals experiencing poverty do not have the valuable connections to demand better protection from the government. Therefore, their communities lack the protection needed from the organ trafficking business. Having limited choices leaves them with feelings of powerlessness and voicelessness because they lack control over their life. These kinds of feelings often lead to severe emotional trauma. Mehdi Hassan thinks often of killing himself because his options were limited before, but are now even more limited after selling part of his organ, of his liver. One way to reduce the number of poverty stricken individuals falling prey to the illegal organ trade is to give them the asset of organizational ability. The ability to get their voices heard and interests represented through strong networks and organizations. Another important thing to do is to increase their knowledge through education. Education is important to ensure that fewer people believe the deception of organ brokers. Shuddata firmly believes or education is the key to transforming the Kidney Valley. She said, I think what we need is education. Please help us with education. Build schools for us. Create jobs for us. So no one has to be so helpless that they sell their kidney. A highly controversial yet simple solution to the illegal organ trade is to legalize it. Often, low income individuals selling their organs have no idea about the implications or are sometimes coerced into selling. These situations are in direct violation of the principles of biomedical ethics, especially the principle of autonomy. For individuals to make medical decisions autonomously, they must be fully informed, actually comprehend what will happen to them, and participate voluntarily. Proponents of organ trade legalization claim that it would benefit the vulnerable communities that are being harmed by the legal trade. Among those who sell their kidneys, their stories are generally the same. They don't know the risks involved, they don't get screened, they don't receive proper medical aftercare, they receive much less than the agreed price or nothing at all. And because they are ashamed and fear being convicted of having done something illegal, they don't seek help. Not only do the donors suffer, but the patients are victims too. They often return home with grave medical conditions. Mehdi Hassan's recipient died soon after receiving part of Hassan's liver. Opponents of legalization include the World Health Organization, which banned organ trafficking in 1987, who stated, payment for cells, tissues, and organs is likely to take unfair advantage of the poorest and most vulnerable groups, undermines altruistic donation, and leads to profiteering and human trafficking. Such payment conveys the idea that some persons lack dignity, that they are mere objects to be used by others. Both sides bring up extremely valid points. By legalizing the organ trade, those who choose to sell their organs will most likely do it out of financial need. However, the advantages are they would receive proper medical care and aftercare, full compensation for their organ, and be thoroughly informed about the risks of the procedure they would be undergoing. As a society, ignoring the organ trade business and pretending it does not exist harms impoverished and vulnerable communities around the globe. Legalizing the trade would allow for monitoring and protect those communities in a way the illegal trade does not. After all, poverty-stricken individuals will continue to be prey for brokers as long as there is a large demand for organs worldwide. This then raises the ethical question of whether organs should be bought and sold. In a heated conversation among experts, Abdul, Matthew, Ryan, Nicole, Ellie, Erica, Alex, Emil, both sides of the argument were debated. Some asked how free and dignified is the choice a person makes to sell their organs when made from the point of desperate poverty. In reply, proponents argued that people have control over their body, and it respects people's dignity by giving them the choice to make their own decisions. Opponents reported that the sale of organs would undermine altruistic donations. Proponents replied that altruistic donations don't meet the organ demand currently, but from a utilitarian point of view, legalization would benefit the most people. In further reply, proponents pointed out the low payments people are already getting for organs in third world countries because it is illegal. To answer, opponents said that once legalized, there will not be a fair distribution of organs because it would depend on the ability to pay. To solve this last point, a third party, whether a government agency or other, should be involved in the distribution of organs based on the most need. The ethics of the organ trade should be left to the person who decides to sell their organs. Yet, we are unsure as to whether legalizing the organ trade would increase or decrease the supply of organs. For example, Swiss residents were asked if they would agree to a nuclear reactor being placed near their homes. Consent to this nuclear reactor was greater before a monetary reward was offered than afterwards. Currently, only one country has legalized the organ trade: Iran. Iran has eliminated their kidney transplant waitlist since it implemented a government regulated system in 1988, where living donors receive financial compensation for donating a kidney. There, 76% of kidneys come from living donors, strangers, compared to the US, where 65% of transplanted kidneys are from deceased donors. In a study done on Iran's transplant system, it was found that 84% of donors were poor, 79% of donors were uninsured, only 30% were employed full time, and only 6% were either at a university or had a degree. In addition to this, 95% of donors expressed satisfaction with their donation at the time of discharge. However, a follow up study found that 76% of donors thought kidney sales should be banned. Opinions are mixed on Iran's organized transplantation system, but one thing is sure: the poor remain poor but with one less kidney. But they're healthy because Iran offers 1 free year of healthcare following the transplant. Other solutions are to increase economic assistance for people experiencing poverty so they might not have to sell their organs. Perhaps to curb the organ trafficking business, the government could offer a benefit: cash, free healthcare, food assistance, if they sign an agreement not to sell their organs. Additionally, countries should also implement a countrywide cadaveric donation option. Bangladesh currently doesn't have a system where if a person dies, they can donate their organs. Meanwhile, in Spain, every person is entered into the system to donate their organs upon death, and people can opt out if they wish. Systems like this can increase the number of organs that can be used from dead donors. Awareness for altruistic donations can also be increased. If people know how much they can impact someone's life with one kidney, they can be encouraged but not forced. In conclusion, there is a strong correlation between people who sell their organs and their socioeconomic status. By looking out for the well being, autonomy, and dignity of the globally impoverished and vulnerable communities, they won't have to resort to illegal and harmful methods. Rather, they can control their life and make their own decisions. Thank you.